the end, or hopefully not the end. Hopefully you guys are enjoying today's broadcast. Welcome back in. We're in game 2 between EGSuppy and LovE in the round of 32. EGSuppy leading with a score of 1-0, and of course down here at the bottom left side of Overgrowth, he is starting off. Get the GLHF. We got a little bit of manner action coming out. EGSuppy's really mannered. Like, I don't know, maybe like a little bit more in his like within his like circle of like players and like friends, like there's a little bit more like, you know, shit talking and crap and whatnot. But generally when I've seen him like ever in the public, the dude is like so humble and nice. Like you can't help but love him. Personally, myself, I know EGSuppy because I've been broadcasting the CSL for the past couple years, as well as being a participant for about 3 now. So you've seen this guy around. He's been a really big face of the North American scene, at least in terms of, you know, one of those up-and-comers. Watched him grow from kind of the amateur semi-pro now to the professional level. In the recent year, I actually did an interview with him at MLG Anaheim. He recently just got back from the Spider House, so now he's staying in North America. He's going to be coming back to Berkeley, and the dude has matured. I'll say that. The dude has definitely matured. Look, he's become a little bit wiser. He's matured. In terms of level of play, he said he hasn't really improved heavily since he stayed at the house or since he's been out of college, because he did take some time off of studying just to be a full-time gamer. But just in general, his attitude and his approach to the game, I think, is a lot healthier, and you could see a much better attitude from him as well. He didn't really have much of an attitude, but a bad attitude towards it, but you could see that he's just handling it a lot better. So hopefully he has a lot more success here coming up into the later stages of 2014. Who knows? I mean, with him in this bracket, he's got, like I said, Violet. Now that Violet's out, he's got about as good of a chance as any to make it through. Probably I think he's on the bottom side of the bracket. He'll have to, of course, face Scarlet at some point in time, most likely in the semifinals if he does reach pretty deep. But, you know, ZVZ is ZVZ, and at least from what I've seen in the past, and as of recently, I do believe in Suppy's ZVZ. I really do believe he actually has a realistic chance of taking a game off of hers. So if it does come down to that, again, this series is not over yet. I don't want to count LovE out, and he's our Terran starting over here at the top right side of the map in the blue. Was really excited to see the 2 racks come out. You don't see it too often these days with just how large the maps are. I feel like his issue in the last game was just transitioning. Everything else was nearly about as good as he could have gotten. I mean, he was able to break the hatch down, able to wall him in, really keep EGSuppy for a really long time to 1 to 2 base. If he was somehow just able to get a 3rd base up, get a really nice stable income, those engagements would have been a lot more comfortable for him to take, as well as also just whenever you're up in economy, you're up in the macro game, and you almost want to take engagements because you know you're actually going to be able to reinforce, you know you're going to be able to reproduce an army versus an opponent who doesn't have a strong income. That's the thing that's like part of the strategy game. You don't exactly want to let your opponent sit back who's got a weak income. If you could start forcing trades and make him spend his money rather than focus on tech on income on units, he's eventually going to bleed his way out of the game. So unfortunately, though, EGSuppy just bought himself a lot of time, and did find it interesting that he went into infestors. Usually you see a lot more kind of a standard transition or breakout attempt with roaches, banelings, or heavy link play, spine crawlers, that type of stuff. You usually don't see infestors getting involved into the mix. Now, infestors weren't particularly used at the time being, but what they did was allow a very nice safeguard, I feel like, for him, because fungals are just very dangerous in the very like early beginning stages of the game. You don't want to get a group of Marines fungled, you don't want to get a group of units fungled, and they're able to push back, they're able to catch everything, and we saw that. Those Helibats were able to cancel that 3rd hatch a couple times, but eventually when they got a little bit too close, when they got a little bit too cocky, they got caught and got cleared out. So we'll see how this game ends up going, a little bit more standard along the lines of a typical viewership of a TVZ. 3rd base getting placed down right now. We got more drone production underway. Meanwhile, our Terran player has that Reactor Hellion Reaper production, as well as also adding a starport. And like I said, I mean, we somehow went full circle. We somehow went full circle. Heart of the Swarm, towards the end of Wings of Liberty, what did you see in almost every single game of a TVZ? You saw the Hellion open, the Reactor Hellion opening, sometimes with Reapers, very rarely with Reapers, sometimes with Marines, and then of course the Banshee follow-up. And then for the longest time ever, you saw just such a wide variety of just like Reaper into quick bio, quick 3CC. The Wintermines and the Hellbats were pretty strong. You saw Hellbat openers for the longest time, and after some nerfs and some changes in the meta, eventually Terrans just went back to the old school bread and butter of Reactor Hellions. But they do have it does have a lot of damage potential because again, Reapers are able to self-heal if they're out of combat for a long enough time. Hellions, of course, are very useful versus light units like Lings and Banelings. So, and when you start beginning including stuff like Banshees, units like Banshees, you're able to formidably fight and put a lot more pressure on Queens, and also the harassment potential just increases that much more, especially if you start splitting up your opponent. Now Lair just about done for Suppy. Baneling Nest finishes up as well. More and more drones under production right now. Spore Crawlers are getting produced, so at least under his base he should be pretty safe everywhere except aside to the very edges. Day A Suppy, that's what I'm talking about. DEA Suppy. DEA Suppy. So, hashtag Conan going through security. Hashtag Conan going through supply. Alright, so the attack does come to the forefront. Hellions, because the armory just finished up, do form into Hellbats, and Hellbats I think are a little bit of a better option in terms of not only dealing with Lings, but actually fighting versus Queens. Going to be very important to make sure those Baneling connections do connect, and oh man, dude, they do a wonderful job right there. More Banelings connecting right now, and good Transfuse is trying to keep as many of the Queens as alive as he possibly could. Now, all the ground forces for LovE are gone, and he just types GG! He just types GG! It's over like that.